In the past, I do have in the past position the Five of Wands, which indicates conflict. This is conflict between you and a loved one, somebody that is very, very dear in your life, that you've kept in your life despite, you know, the differences in opinion between you and that person. So no matter what, it's like the person fighting against a tree. So different species, they're never going to see eye to eye. There's a great deal of love, but at the same time, you just can't, you're not compatible and you just can't make things work between you and the other person. I do sense for a lot of you, the other person is definitely holding their tongue. There are a lot of things that they can say that's hurtful, but they refrain from doing so because I do feel a lot of them are trying to at least not hurt you. But I do feel like a lot more hurtful things were said from your end, okay? So I do sense that coming through for a lot of you, and there is a little bit of regret in your current predicament because of all those things that were said. The other person is like, I don't feel they're in the picture anymore. For a lot of you, they're not in the picture anymore, and you know, because of it, they've walked out. They were hurt, they walked out, and you might feel very, very alone at this present moment without them in your life, okay? So there are definitely obstacles here to your plans. So let's see what the future has for you here. I'm going to just wait for one card to fall out. Okay, two. So what's coming in here is the Page of Wands. You are feeling a little bit destabilized. Okay, so I do feel two characters, two signs that you are potentially dealing with. Okay, so for a lot of you, I do feel I have the Seven of Cups here, and I do have the Devil, which indicates to me that you're not seeing things, you're not seeing the reality of the situation. Okay, so Sagittarius, you are showing up here as the Page of Wands in the reverse position, which is, there are a lot of cards that can be a little bit problematic. Okay, so I don't feel I am biased in saying this, but you're in the reverse position. The way you're thinking, the things that you're seeing are also in the reverse position. So you're not seeing the true picture, and you're not seeing how your behavior, how your behavior affected the situation, how your behavior is kind of inappropriate, and because of it, the other person is no longer in the picture with you, okay? So a lot of you, there might have been a falling out between love partners. There might be falling out, have been falling out between, there might have been falling out between you and a family member. And I do feel a family element is strongly indicated here because the Tower indicates a physical structure, possibly a home situation, okay? A lot of you might be involved with an air sign, a Gemini, Aquarius, Libra, or a water sign of Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, okay? So let's look at this situation with the air sign. I do feel the air sign is showing up here in the upright position. So this is the person with the voice of reason, okay? The Queen of Swords is a woman of few words. I do feel there are merit, or there are merits to the things that she's saying, because she is a seeker of truth, and she doesn't care if the truth hurts. The truth needs to be said. So whatever it is that she's telling you, she or he is telling you, I do feel that it's something that you need to take with a grain of salt, but maybe there's some truth in it. So this is something that you have to reflect upon, okay? I do feel as well that she is calling you to re-examine some of your past behaviors. The Page of Wands is you. It's you know, pages are very, very young, very new. They're very inexperienced, and in the reverse position, this is somebody who is all about them. It's somebody who is like who is sort of like me oriented, okay? So they tread through life very lightly. They don't really understand their impact on other people, and they don't really understand like motives. They don't really understand things on a deep, profound level. They don't know how If you're looking at a Sagittarius, a typical Sagittarius, let me just try to think like what would be like a major fault. So I'm getting here that for a lot of Sagittarius, it's sort of like seeing the big picture and not seeing the details. Okay, so the person that you're dealing with might see the details, and they might tell you, they might tell you all the things that you have done wrong in the past, and they might narrow down the exact details, and you're kind of forgetful, so you feel as if they're attacking you, that these things didn't actually happen, that they're making up these stories in order to make you feel bad. But it's like there are actually things from the past that you might have to return to. Okay, and it's funny because I just did the reading for Scorpio, and Scorpio is dealing with a similar energy in which the past is catching up and the past needed to be re-examined. And I'm doing this now for you, and I do feel that past actions from your end were not fully we're not fully understood. Okay, so it's sort of like you're bouncing around through life and you're treading very, very lightly, and you don't know how you affect other people. You don't understand the consequences of something that you did, and you feel like it's completely harmless, but it's actually having a very, very profound impact on somebody else. And the things you say, a lot of you are very, very blunt. A lot of you, you don't really beat around the bush. You don't really sugarcoat things. So you might have rubbed somebody the wrong way with, the force and the strength of your honesty. So it's just this is not something that you're aware of. You're not doing it to, purposely hurt them or to cut them down. But I do sense that they're very, very sensitive people. So this person is in your midst as a family member, as somebody that you're close to, as like a very close friend, confidant, and they're telling you these things, like, I love you to death, but you're a little bit sloppy, for example, or you're a little bit like careless, or you're not as mindful of other people's feelings. Okay, so they're telling you these things, and it's somebody that you trust a great deal. And I do feel, as a result of hearing this, you just can't believe it, because you're kind of it's something that came out of the left field. You didn't see it coming, so now you're questioning whether or not they're truthful. I would urge you to, just take it with a grain of salt. I do feel they are truthful, and it is going to allow an opportunity for you to reflect back on your past actions and maybe see that there is some validity to what it is that they're saying. Okay, because I do sense that in the conflict in the past, you were a little bit harsh with the other person. So now you're kind of like, and I do feel like intuitively you knew you were like, you know that you hurt the other person, okay? And the other person is like not in your life anymore. So I do sense that a lot of you are like recoiling from the the sorrow, from the regret, but you're not outrightly, accepting of it. You're kind of like suppressing the regret and the doubt, the self-doubt, because you want to just live life very lightly. You don't want to feel bad about the situation. So you're not processing your feelings. You're not taking the time to do it. I also feel if you're expecting communication from the person that, you've had the conflict with in the past, communication is not coming. Okay, so this is, long story short, this is something that you have to, this is like one of the karmic lessons that you're going to have to experience, because we have a lot of retrograde planets happening around this time, which indicates to me in general this is a prime time for karmic lessons. A lot of you, I did this for the Virgo reading, a lot of you have immense karma with a Virgo. We do have the Hermit card in the reverse position showing up here as the crowning energy. It's the card of Virgo. It's the card of somebody who is who lives alone, so they have like enough time to introspect. Whereas as a fire sign, you're a little bit more scattered, so you don't really, take adequate time to slow yourself down and to really process your feelings, okay? So if there is a recent, argument, dispute, and you're hoping for communication from the other person, I do feel here that they have pretty much turned cold and they've blocked you out, okay? So for the next 2 weeks, you are going to have to be the one to, say the apology. And I know it's not something that you want to do because, fire signs are very, very proud and fierce. So be the bigger person here. And I do feel in order to restore your situation, you're going to have to take the initiative to invite them back into your life because they've turned cold, they block you out. And the tower is not something that is easy to recover from, okay? So it might have been one of those situations where you walked away scotch-free. I guess you've walked away cleanly, but they had to deal with the ramifications. They had to deal with the aftermath, and they had to rebuild their self-esteem. They've had to pick up the pieces and moved on, and they've moved on without you. So if you want them back in your life, you're going to have to reach out to where they are because they're in a different place at this present moment, okay? As for the advice here, we do have the King of Cups in the reverse position. So once again, whoever it is that you're interacting with, they've turned very, very cold. And, in the reverse position here, it indicates to me a King of Cups is a very, very loving, very beautiful energy. This is somebody who wants the best for people, who's very generous, who's very well liked, well received. In the reverse position, this is, I'm not going to read this as a water sign. I just feel that this is an energy that can potentially come in from you because it's in the advice and you're also showing up in the reverse. So I have no other way to read this, but I do feel that this is like withholding, like feeling very, very proud and withholding affection, okay? So if you, for a lot of you, if you are arguing with somebody, okay, and even if you were involved with like a water sign, you feel that the other person is emotionally manipulative because they don't fight fair. When they're upset, they withhold affection. And when they're no longer upset, they make you feel like they treat you like a king or a princess, and they make you feel like you're on top of the world. However, when they're mad at you, they withhold affection, they give you the silent treatment, and it's just a very like toxic, a very uncomfortable feeling in your environment. When they're upset, you feel very destabilized because you want the love and the affection, and they're giving you the silent treatment. So they are emotionally manipulative. If you're in that type of situation, once and for all, leave it because I do feel this is a recurring pattern. And, I do sense that a lot of you, I do feel on the emotional front, you might be adrenaline junkies, okay? So it's not that, you jump off skyscrapers or you go, bungee jumping in the middle of the night or, worse, I don't know. But I do feel on the emotional front, the highs and lows with this person is keeping you in a toxic environment, okay? So it's like when times are good, the other person makes you feel like you're on top of the world. When times are bad, they make you feel as if, you're down in the dumps, mainly because they are withholding affection. And they make you doubt yourself. They make you feel as if you're doubting your self-worth, you're doubting your lovability, okay? So a lot of you have been stuck in this type of a relationship for quite some time. I do feel all these retrograde planets are bringing this to light so that you can re-examine your role in it and whether or not you want to stay in it. A lot of you have a kind of like, what would you call this woman? It's sort of like the voice of reason in your life, okay? This is a woman or a male the air sign, whoever it is, the air sign is helping you process, your history with this person. They're trying to help you process your feelings, but you're not listening to advice. You're not listening to legal or good counsel here. So you're kind of like treading through life and very nonchalantly, and you're not really looking at the depth and the depth of the problem at hand, and you're so like mired in the questioning your own self-worth in your multiple interactions with this person that you doubt your ability to you're doubting your love ability, and you're kind of like thinking to yourself, oh, this situation is not that bad, when in fact it is very, very toxic. The other person is emotionally manipulating you, and it doesn't lead to a good place. Okay, so this is a cycle that needs to be broken. So find a way to end this conflict once and for all. Listen to whoever it is that is giving you the outsider's perspective, because I do feel they know you quite well. They're very unbiased. Okay, Queen of Swords are very, very unbiased people when they're in the upright. A lot of people say there's jealousy and things like that, but I do sense that this is the voice of reason. If it's kind of like the page or even the knight, I do feel it's like premature type of judgment. The queen is actually, she's trying to forge a new path for you, and she's trying to do it in a way, or she's trying to convince you the merit of this new path by telling you, what she sees. So she's very objective, and it's really important for you to at least listen to her counsel, because she's trying to help you. Okay, so when you're in dealing with like somebody who's very emotionally manipulative, it is really important for you to identify the traits of a codependent and possibly like even toxic emotional bond that you have with the other person, so you can get away from it. Okay, I do sense your hopes and fears here is you don't feel that you're going to be successful. You are at this point, a lot of you are doubting your self-worth, are doubting your lovability. So already that those are the symptoms of being in a toxic relationship for so long, being in a verbally, even emotionally abusive type of relationship, and the other person has you doubting your own sense of self-worth. Okay, so extract yourself from it, because I do feel that the conflict that might have happened in the past might have been even, it might have escalated. It might have gone beyond verbal disputes to like physical, conflict. Okay, like it could even be like domestic abuse for those of you who are dealing with somebody who's very, very emotionally manipulative, because I do feel the tower situation is like a rude awakening. This is something that you're very unprepared for, and you felt very much like alone and not knowing where to turn in this regards. Okay, so it's really important for you to figure out what it is that you're getting out of the relationship, and figure out if the other person is the right one for you. Okay, if they've been like doing this in the past, it is really important for you to break the cycle, break the bond, extract yourself from this situation, because I don't sense it's going to end well for you. So the message that I'm getting here is very similar to Scorpio, but Scorpio is very like center about on who's right and who's wrong. The relationship is built on a lot of love, whereas in this situation I don't sense love. I sense manipulation, I sense control issues, I sense like conflict. So it's a very different energy, because we have the devil, we have a lot of sword characters, we have a lot of people who are like who have frozen over. Okay, we also have a lot of we have solitary cards indicating, great egos at work here. So the outcome here is the Nine of Wands in the reverse position. If it were upright, this is a situation where you are walking away. Okay, you've I guess you've endured a lot of emotional, physical pains and scars, And at this point, you are realizing that, you're worth more. So you're walking away and you're not looking back. And you are going to go ahead and try to find somebody who's worthy of you. In the reverse position, it indicates to me a lot of obstacles in your way, mainly because you haven't restored your sense of self-worth. Okay, you're not seeing the true value that you're not seeing your true value. You're not seeing your self-worth, and you're not able to see that this is toxic for you. So that rude awakening, even though it happened in the past, or even though it's going to happen for the next 2 weeks, at the end of it, you're still mired in doubt, and you're not able to walk away and extract yourself from this situation. At the same time, this is a relationship that was like, it was headed towards an inevitable end. I don't feel there's love left in this relationship, okay? So your choices, more than anything, are dwindling. You know that at least there are other people around you that love you, okay? The air sign, possibly the Virgo, there's still karma here, okay? So there are people that you can come to, or that you have a place to go to, who will help you, but you're not able to do it mainly because you're afraid. So you're very, very afraid because you've been in a situation where the other person didn't show you a lot of love and appreciation, and over time it corroded your self-esteem. So at this point, you don't feel that anyone loves you. You feel very cast out in the cold. You feel very afraid to end the relationship because you've been in the relationship for so long and you don't know what it's like to have to do things on your own. So you're very, very afraid. My advice here, and I'm very sorry, Sagittarius, that this is such a negative reading, but I do feel that you have help here. You have people that will give you, sanctuary, and safety, okay? And they're also giving you good advice. So heed whatever it is that they're saying. Heed the advice, heed their counsel. And I do sense that you have a lot of options, a lot more than you give yourself credit for. So even though options are limited, I do feel that you have options, and it would be in your best interest to remove yourself from this toxic environment and do better for yourself, because you're worth a lot more, and you have to take the initiative in order to take that first step out of the relationship. Okay, so I know this is not going to apply to everyone, of course. If you are in a relationship where whoever it is very emotionally, manipulative, they withhold affection, and they're hot and cold constantly, and they undermine you. They undermine your self-worth and your lovability. This is a wake-up call, and I do feel that you're going to have to leave this situation by the end of this month, okay? Unfortunately, you're going to have to leave this situation by the end of this month, because I do feel the round of karma is this. You leave by the end of this month, and then Mercury in retrograde happens, and you're going to be tested, because they're going to contact you nonstop. You're going to be tested whether or not you want to stay in this relationship. So you're going to go through about like a whole month where the universe is testing you. And once you get through that whole month without relapsing, it's like a drug. It's like a drug. It's like the emotional manipulation is like that highs and lows, and you're drawn to it like a drug. So the universe is putting this test for you for the next month during that Mercury retrograde period, to see whether or not you can survive on your own, to see whether or not you can let go of the toxicity, because you're addicted to it like a drug. So once you're able to walk out by the end of this month, once you're able to overcome that whole intense Mercury in retrograde period, and you don't waver in your resolve, I feel that, that's this Saturn transit is going to serve you well. So you've learned the lesson, okay? So I'm very sorry, Sagittarius. I do hope that you find light at the end of the tunnel, okay? Return to old family members, reach out to people that you might have had like falling out with, because they're not going to reach out to you. I feel that a lot of you might have burned some bridges in the past, and it's important for you to reconcile. They're kind of like a lot of the people you've burned bridges with, they're not going to reach out to you, but I do feel they are going to be receptive when you reach out to them, because the Queen of Swords is usually, you know, she extends one hand. She's still very guarded, but she's still caring enough where she can help you and still be detached, okay? So you might have to reach out to some people from your past. If you need help, if you need, you know, comfort, support, and things like that, they're going to be receptive, but you have to reach out, okay? So this is a week in which you have to exercise your free will here, okay? So don't be locked up in your thoughts where you're telling yourself, you know, I'm not worth it, I'm not worthy of this, I'm not lovable. It's that's the mind game that, you know, is keeping you stuck in one place. So it's really important to exercise your free will and you know, be your confident, happy, realistic self, because that's what's going to be required to get you through this very difficult period, okay? So for those of you who this is applying to, who this resonates with, I do wish you the very best, and I do wish you fortified strength to get out of toxic relationships and to leave toxic people out of your life for good, okay? So please take care of yourself, Sagittarius, and I wish you the best.